Hey guys, this is Ackley Tag4427 here, and today, this video is something that I've been waiting to do for a long time now, ever since my most ambitious project that I've ever done. So with that being said, I guess I don't need a majorly long introduction on this video, so we might as well get right to it. So yeah, if you couldn't recall, well over a year ago, I actually did a very special video on my channel that goes by the name of Sailor Moon vs. Sailor Moon Crystal. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this one coming, but it's quite true. One of my most ambitious projects that I did for a long time now is indeed Sailor Moon vs. Sailor Moon Crystal, where, of course, I compare both the original Sailor Moon anime as well as its reboot Sailor Moon Crystal. And I have to say, I'm truly proud of that video when I first made it. Sure, there were some changes I made during post-production exactly 2 years after I filmed it. Jeez, I can't believe it's taken me 2 years to actually finish working on a video that I started on. That's gotta be a new world record. But still, regardless, I'm actually really proud on how the video turned out, as it took a lot of hard work and effort to get it done. Plus, the amount of comments I got with many different opinions between the two versions is absolutely incredible. To this day, even though it really got me exhausted and burned out from all that hard work, I'm glad on how well this video turned out, and it still remains as one of my greatest achievements throughout my time making videos. So why did I bring that video up, you may ask? Well, I figured that I would of course do a follow-up to that said video, not necessarily do another comparison video, but rather instead a full-on analysis on a season of the original Sailor Moon anime. And for that, I'm of course going to be talking about its 5th season entitled Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. Yep, I'm really going into that type of territory. And for good reason too, because it's something I've been waiting to do for a while now. Sailor Stars, which came out in Japan from March of 1996 until February of 1997 and served as the 5th and final season, actually has the record of the most interesting season of the entire anime. Not because it left a massive impact out of any season of the show, but because, if you know any Sailor Moon fan out there, that a good majority of them have seen it through a great amount of research on the anime itself during the time it got its own English dub by both Dink and Cloverway. But it wouldn't be until the late 2010s when Viz Media come into play and we finally got an official release here in North America. And it's just around the same time when I posted my video that I mentioned earlier. So, I figured today, I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at it for all of you guys. Seems like a whole lot, but that's exactly what I'm going to give for all of you guys. It's been a long time coming, but I'm truly gonna give this season what it deserves. So with that being said, here's a very special balanced perspective, or in this case, full-on review on Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. So we might as well start off with the background history on it. The 5th season made its debut on March 9th, 1996, and continued on until it made the official anime's conclusion on February 8th, 1997 on the Japanese TV network TV Asahi. While lasting only about 34 episodes, it did deliver a pretty satisfying conclusion to the anime entirely and left a massive legacy for that said anime. So with all that said and done with what's going on during its time in Japan, you would think it would of course get an English dub sometime later. Well, it may sound that way, but not exactly. Now for why that may be exactly is because of one reason that I'll get to later on, but during the time the anime got dubbed by both Dink and Cloverway during the 90s, and a good majority of the original anime is being dubbed, turns out Season 5 was left out and never aired on television, resulting in the contract to expire in 2003 and never got renewed since then. But like I said, it wouldn't be until 2014 when Viz Media acquired the rights to Sailor Moon, allowing it not only just a new English dub, but also air all the episodes completely uncut and uncensored, including the entire 5th season. Which, for the latter, Part 1 was released onto Blu-ray on June 18th, 2019, and Part 2 released sometime later on November 12th, 2019, much to our satisfaction. And interesting enough, Sailor Moon vs. Sailor Moon Crystal came out just 4 days before Part 2 came out onto Blu-ray. Talk about perfect timing. Now, for why it didn't air in America several years back is actually a pretty interesting story. Part of the reason for that is because it introduced us to 3 new characters, which are the main highlight of the entire season, being the Sailor Starlights, who were men, at least pretending to be men, while on Earth, that transform into women when they transformed. Now, that's not a bad idea right about now, but in terms of doing its best to present it to American audience back in the day, that's not something 2001 American television was ready for. But I'm glad that years later we're past that and we're finally able to see it for what it is. Seems like a tricky road to actually get to this point, but it's actually a really fascinating story when you really get into it. So now that I got that out of the way, we might as well get right on to the story for, of course, this season. Oh, and just for safekeeping, as a little warning for all of you guys, there may be spoilers up ahead, so if you don't want to be spoilered on what's actually going on during, of course, this season, then I suggest you turn off this video right now and go watch the show first. So with that being said, let's get right to it. The plot shows that Usagi Tsukino, as well as her friends, living the normal life as always, and even tackling high school when, of course, the Sailor Starlights that I mentioned, to which their identities being a boy band group named the Three Lights, with the members being Seiya, Yaten, and Taiki, showed up. But it turns out to be far different from what they were expecting, as a new threat to them, or in this case, a new villain, named Sailor Galaxia, wanted to take over Earth by taking everyone's sailor seeds from them that she thinks is most valuable. So now it's up to the Sailor Guardians, as well as the Three Lights that I mentioned, which take on their Sailor Starlight forms, to try to stop her and save the world once again. Now, I will say, for a story for the entire season, it's actually quite an impressive one put together. As always, it still retains the idea that the original, in trying to do its own thing, while at the same time take up elements that were taken from the original manga Naoka Takeuchi wrote up. And from the way it's structured out, it's done pretty well. Just by seeing it as a great way to build up to get to where we need to be during each episode, it's done very well. Hell, I dare even say the first 6 episodes that came before during the main storyline is actually great build-up beforehand. As Queen Nehelenia from the last season, coming back to get her revenge is done pretty well, and like I said, it's only for 6 episodes at the start of this season, and wanted to go for the similar route the beginning of Sailor Moon R did, but much shorter is well done. It's far different from what the original manga has done, but it's still pretty interesting to watch. And once we get right onto the main storyline for this season, it's pretty fun to watch. Sure, it does have some issues, but they really nailed it on the head. On top of that, I will say the other aspects that I can find with this, much like the rest of the anime in general, is also pretty well done. Hence why the original Sailor Moon anime is pretty fun to watch in its entirety. For one thing, the characters, I have to say, are still pretty likable, with, of course, Usagi, aka Sailor Moon, still retaining her personality of being a typical goofball, bringing in some pretty funny moments in the show, and thankfully, she does show a bit of maturity and has grown a whole lot since the very beginning. Though my point still stands, Crystal actually did a much better job at that. Not only that, but her friends and allies also show the same thing, as they're given much more interesting character development, as well as some very impressive story arcs, which fits right into their personalities. So, just by seeing them all on screen, you can truly see that they're much more determined than ever, since they came a long way since the series began. Not only that, but the new ones that I've mentioned, the Sailor Starlights, also have some interesting character development as well. And let's not forget to mention a pretty interesting backstory on how and why they're on Earth and wanted to succeed on their mission, which is to call down their princess named Kaikuyu after she fled to Earth after her home planet was invaded by Galaxia. Speaking of which, I really enjoyed on how impressive the villains turned out of all the ones that we got in the past. With each and every one of them we got, they just look and sound impressive with them, and does offer up an interesting challenge that our heroes have to overcome. And with each one having the title Sailor in it, it does make me question to myself, does it actually predate or feels like the season's equivalent of Captain America Civil War? But hey, a guy can dream.
All of them are done pretty well, and I really liked on how well they turned out. However, if there's one thing that I can complain about that I still have a major issue with, and especially since Season 3 and onwards, is both Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune. Now, to be fair, I have nothing against them entirely, but I felt that throughout part of Season 3, and a good majority of this season, is that they felt way too dejected and way too uninterested in doing what they need to do, which is to team up and work together. Even when talking to Sailor Moon and her allies on it, they felt more antagonistic on what they're doing, almost like they wanted to work alone rather than listening to Sailor Moon's reasoning. Now, to be fair, Crystal did a much better job in handling Uranus and Neptune's character, and by seeing them, it's much more interesting to me, and they do have a full understanding on how and why they need to do what they need to do. And when the time comes to join Sailor Moon in general, it does show how much they've grown and understand our main characters. Something I wish the original could truly fix up and actually does help stay true to the original manga entirely.
Now, stepping away from all the characters, I have to say, just as a good way for me to move on top of what I mentioned, all the actors who came on board once again, including the ones for, of course, its English dub, do give some really amazing performances.
Now, I will have to say that as much as I love on how well the original did with all the acting given to what I have to say about it, and even does have some massive issues I have with it, I can give it credit that it's done massively well for this season. Everyone who says their lines are just absolutely incredible, and I really love on how well each and every one of them turned out. Plus, when you get invested into their performances, it makes it feel all the more real to you and truly something that you can really admire. Take this scene, for example, when Usagi admits to Sia on how she felt between her and Mamoru.
But I keep telling myself that I need to get by on my own. I can only hear his voice on a recording, and he never responded to my letters. But I can't do it! I can't!
Now that's a pretty impressive scene to watch, and a very heartbreaking angle they went with. Because when you actually see it for yourself, you actually do feel sorry for Usagi, and it does show how much she misses him since he left at the very beginning of the main story arc. Especially when it's established that the two of them are gonna be getting married later on. This scene alone is pretty precious. But still, that is a clear example on what makes the acting in this season all the more great, and all the actors in it really do give very solid performances on that. On top of that, but with some of the great writing they threw into this season, is probably the best I've seen by far. Everything from the action to the dialogue, and with each scene written out mixed in with some pretty good comedy as well, makes it incredible and fascinating to look at.
Now, the most important thing that I should tackle on, what about the animation for, of course, this one? Well, that's a lot to say, and for very, very, very good reason for that.
Now, if there's anything that I still absolutely love the most in terms of the original Sailor Moon anime, is truly the show's animation by far. And with what animation company Toei Animation has done to make this look good, actually makes it all the more impressive to watch, and thankfully, for this season entirely, it shows exactly that. Everything from, of course, the character designs, the backgrounds, to even on how well the action is planned out, as well as the fight scenes, is done massively well. It just clearly shows the amount of hard work the animators have done, and with this season, I really love on how well they looked and turned out with what it's trying to do, and even on how colorful it is. Granted, there may be some animation issues that does come in between, but it's still done pretty well.
So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I mean, everything that I have to say for, of course, this season of Sailor Moon in its entirety. And for what it is, I will say it was well worth it. Because let's face it, we have really came a long way ever since 2014 when Viz Media acquired the rights to Sailor Moon, and I will have to say, it was well worth the wait.
Yeah, it does have some major issues from here and there, but it's still a pretty great season on its own, and for it being the final season to the original Sailor Moon anime, it really went out with a bang on this one and showcased a true epic finale that we're all hoping for. It's got a good story, interesting characters, and some pretty impressive animation to look and admire for what it's done. For me, it's much like enjoying both Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame, all rolled up into one. You can follow through it just fine, but it does have some amazing and memorable moments in it that can immediately get you hooked up to it. So I will say, this is actually a massively great season overall, and it really gave us something big and epic to watch. It's not perfect by all means, but it's still a great one that you can watch for sure.
And good thing too, because even though the original Sailor Moon anime ended, it still left a massive impact that continue on to this day.
To this day, I absolutely love everything, and I mean everything that Sailor Moon has to admire, like not just the anime, but also the original manga it's based on, and plenty of other stuff that came out afterwards. And for that, I'm really excited to see what comes next. Like the most ambitious one out of anything from Sailor Moon is without a doubt the 2-part Eternal movie that we're all excited to see. I know I did hint that some time ago, but a lot like everyone else, I'm super excited to see what they're gonna do, and hey, later on, maybe see what they'll do for the Sailor Star story arc like what the original did. To which, as of this review, both parts were officially released in Japan, with Part 1 officially released on January 8th, 2021, and Part 2 released on February 11th of the same year, with the recent announcement that Netflix is gonna release the film entirely dubbed and everything on June 3rd, 2021, to which I am really excited to see when it officially comes out. But for now, with what we got with the original Sailor Moon anime, the 5th and final season is what we got for now. As well as plenty of others that tried out this story arc, but that's beside the point. So, if you haven't seen this season yet, do so, as well as check out the other 4 seasons of this anime. Believe me when I say that once you do, you're in for a real fantastic treat for this one.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for this review on Sailor Moon Sailor Stars. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and let me know in the comment section below if you have already seen it and what you thought about it, as well as of course leaving me constructive criticism and or advice on how I can improve my videos in the near future. And of course, as always, if you want to ask me any questions in particular, or if you just want to book me for a con or event that'll be coming up very soon, then all you gotta do is send me an email to this email address, backley95@hotmail.com. And of course, as always, if you want to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos in the near future, as well as plenty of other stuff that I actually got in between all of that, then feel free to follow me on my social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and plenty other social media sites that I have provided. All the links to them are down in the description box below. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, then giving a massive thumbs up, as it really does help this channel out a whole lot. And speaking about my channel, if you want to see more videos like this coming up in the near future, then all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button, as well as turn on the notification bell and select all notifications, so that way you'll be notified once I upload a brand new video. So yeah, that's literally about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and yeah, it actually does feel great to actually do this one ever since I did the last one that I've done well over a year ago, but I'm glad to finally get it out for all of you guys, and I do hope to do more videos like this later on, but we shall wait and see. But until then, be on the lookout for those very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.